All right, guys, this one's a little bit late this week. I do apologize. But nevertheless, it is a victory week, which is something that seems so rare. But we got one at home against the Chargers. Something that also seems even more rare, which is a win against the Chargers, which hasn't happened since 2013. Jake Locker was the last one to beat the LA Chargers, which, wow, that's surprising in itself. But we got it done. It took every second of the clock. It took every blade of grass, as Kevin Byard said post-game. And we're still in it. Going into Week 8, we are still in this thing, which is all we can ask for. There's a lot to go over here. A lot of pros, a lot of cons. But, as always, I'm going to start with the quarterback play. Ryan Tannehill was above and beyond anything I expected of him this week. He was decisive. He was making throws outside of the pocket. He was making throws across his body. And above all else, he trusted his receivers, which unfortunately I think kind of was a downfall to Marcus Mariota's career. And I'm only saying that because this season is what ended his career with us. Listen, the O-line play was terrible for him, but I think at the end of the day, he had to just start trusting his receivers to make plays, and he just wasn't doing that, unfortunately. As I've mentioned many, many, many times, I am very, very pro Mariota, always have been, always will be, but I have to move on at this point and just call it like it is. Tannehill was really spectacular. I mean, he really, really was. Outside of that interception, which wasn't his fault because of a blindside tackle, he did everything we asked of him, and more, to be honest. So, since he's the guy moving forward, all we can do is hope that he continues to improve. And if he can play like he did last week, we have a pretty good chance with our defense to make a splash, I say, going forward. String some wins together and hope things fall into place for us to get a spot in the playoffs. Derrick Henry had his typical 80-something yard game with a nice touchdown. All we can really ask for from him. Didn't do anything to hurt the team, which is all we can ask. Dion Lewis did do plenty to hurt this team because he continues to be on the field and do absolutely nothing. The guy can't pass block. So if he's not going to touch the ball, there's literally no reason to have him on the field. But we continue to do it. We continue to waste money by having him on the roster. Obviously, I don't know why anyone would want to trade for him. But I just don't know why we don't cut him at this point. But it is what it is. Defense, a lot to get into on the defense. Once again, we still find a way to only hold them to 20 or less points, which is great. But I'm not thrilled with our defense this week. Kenny Vaccaro did not have a very good game at all. He was pretty bad this week, but that's a rarity, so I'm not going to be too worried about that. Correa, he's got to go. I mean, he's another guy on the other side of the ball like Dion Lewis who just goes on the field and offers nothing for the defense. There was a play in the first half where Melvin Gardner just flat out dropped the ball and it bounces into his hands. And instead of falling on it, which I never played organized football, but I do know if you were on the defensive side of the ball and the ball is just flat out dropped by the running back into your hands, don't try to pick it up and run. Just fall on it. And he tried to pick it up, and sure enough, he botches the hell out of it, bounces right back to Gordon. That play continues. A field goal comes out of it. He's terrible. He's got to go. One of the bright spots of the defense, though, was Jeffrey Simmons. I think he had about 22 snaps on Sunday, and boy, he made the best of all those 22 snaps. He had a couple tackles for loss. He had a sack. He was just showing really, really good pass rush, just busting through that O-line. And I think he's only going to get better. I mean, this is his first play in the NFL, and he just balled out. He really did. So I can't wait to see him going on. And hopefully he just continues to get better and better and better. The drive where the Chargers cut it to 3, I don't know what we were doing there. I don't know what Dean Pease was looking at defensively, but we were playing basically a prevent defense when there was plenty of time left on the clock for them to score and then get the ball back, which we saw them do. Really, just I think they had like 4 or 5 first downs in a row, which was ended by I think it was an Austin Eckler touchdown. That Adoree Jackson just totally blew coverage on. So like I said, defensively, we were good enough. See, this instance, we were a bend but don't break, obviously. But I think this is one of our worst defensive performances of the season. But at the end of the day, it didn't matter. We had a spectacular goal line stand. Malcolm Butler tried to screw it up. But at the end of the day, it might have been a blessing because if he didn't have that pass interference, they might have scored a touchdown there because it was a good ball by Rivers. But that pass interference then led to a 1st and goal, another goal line stand, and then finally the Melvin Gordon fumble. We win the game. So that kind of wraps up the game on offense and defense. Now, the main focus of this video is going to have to be to absolutely open up everyone's eyes, if they haven't been opened already, that Mike Vrabel is absolutely awful as a head coach. Now, let me rephrase that. It's been said by many, and I'm going to trust the people that are in that organization, that are, media and writers and whatnot, that he's very good at getting the best out of his players talent-wise. And if that is the case, then that's great. But he is so god-awful with his in-game decision-making that, frankly, I don't care about any of that. Okay? Because when you make decisions that affect your team weekly, it's not good. And every single week, he makes decisions that could potentially cost his team victories. And this week was nothing short of that. Okay, I'm not going to talk about the challenges in the first half with what seemed to be 4 or 5 sideline grabs. Whatever. He didn't call them. He should have. But the one thing I can't let go is how we don't challenge the spot of the ball on that 4th and inches to seal the game. It's so evident that Tannehill moved forward in that play, and they moved the ball back from the line of scrimmage. So what does that tell you? That tells you that you can challenge that play, and inevitably, or not inevitably, but there's really no way you can lose the challenge. You might not get the first down, but you can't lose the challenge because the ball goes forward and they put the ball back. So if nothing else, you won't get the first down, but they will respot the ball because they 100% got that wrong. And we didn't challenge it. This guy is not the answer. I think we're going to have a very, very, very good football team in the very, very near future on all sides of the ball. If Tannehill's the guy, then it's going to be right now. But if he's not the guy, I think we're going to get a very good quarterback in the draft and be very good offensively next year. But either way, if you have a guy with a headset on that's continuously screwing you guys over, then it's not going to matter. It's talking about how much talent we have. So, I don't know what to say anymore about him. I don't think he's going anywhere next year, unfortunately. But it's got to be heard that he is so bad as a coach when it comes to game day. But here we are. We're 3-4. We got the Bucs coming in. Another absolute must-win at home. I don't want to get into next week too much, but I really don't see us having any shot against Carolina at home or in Carolina. So we need to get to 4-4. No matter what. I mean, they got to win this game if they want to have any shot. So we'll see what happens. Hopefully Winston comes out, throwing the ball to everyone but his own receivers, as he's been doing. And hopefully we can continue to get offensive production. And we'll go from there. So I kept this one under 10 minutes. Hopefully we have another, victory recap next week. And see you then. Tighten up.